watching the news. I'm Bakhtar Sanowa and welcome to Africa News. Let's see your headlines. Prolonged power outages in northern Cameroon are triggering an economic crisis. Egypt is expanding its role as a trade corridor amid shipping instability in the Strait of Hormuz. And communities in Congo are turning volcanic lava into jobs and building materials. Prolonged power outages in northern Cameroon are triggering an economic crisis, leaving businesses struggling and residents facing growing daily hardships. Communities across the region say recurring blackouts have disrupted livelihoods for months, with no clear end in sight.
Northern Cameroon is facing a deepening economic and social crisis as prolonged power outages continue to disrupt daily life and cripple local businesses. In the city of Garoua, traders say recurring blackouts over the past 3 months have brought commercial activity to a near standstill, leaving many struggling to earn a living. For tailor and garment maker Sabo Sani, unreliable electricity has made it nearly impossible to keep his workshop running or complete customer orders.
I have a tailor workshop, but it's not up and running at the moment. Why isn't it working? Because we need electricity, but we don't have any. We only get electricity for maybe 3 or 4 hours a day.
The situation is equally difficult for other small business owners across the Yelwa market. Hairdresser and fishmongers say the lack of electricity has severely affected their ability to serve customers and keep their business operating.
What the customer needs is very difficult. Very difficult why? Because you cannot do everything. You cannot wash the hair, you cannot use the hair dryer because there's no light. And we don't know how to do again.
The crisis continues despite the presence of the Lagdo Dam, a major hydroelectric facility that has powered northern Cameroon for decades. But in recent years, electricity production has dropped sharply, worsening outages across the region. Officials say low water levels at the dam are limiting power generation and forcing authorities to implement load shedding across the region.
During 2021 and 2022, we first experienced the most critical deficit from this site. So actually, what we are facing is load shedding. It is just because the Lagdo, due to water, cannot generate power at a high level. The level of water is too low, and we are managing to avoid a crack within this month of May.
For now, communities across the region continue to endure daily blackouts, while hoping for long-term solutions to Cameroon's chronic energy shortages.
One of Africa's most dangerous volcanoes is helping communities rebuild their lives in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, where residents are turning hardened lava into construction materials.
Goma is built on volcanic lava, and now residents are using the hardened rock into a tool for rebuilding the city. Every day, quarry workers in Monigi and Kibati cut black volcanic rock from the slopes of Mount Nyiragongo, making paving stones that are changing the face of the city. Cut by hand and machine and laid one by one, the stones are replacing the mud and the dust on Goma's streets, creating cleaner roads and jobs for hundreds of young people.
When the volcano erupts, it produces lava, and over time, the lava turns into stone. And there is the material we use. We use stones from the 2002 eruption because they are very hard. We haven't started working with the stones from the 2021 eruption. We collect them near Kabati and cut them into paving stones, used for roads and houses.
Goma has no large factories, meaning most of the work is done entirely by hand. With only hammers, stonemasons have to shape rough volcanic blocks into paving stones with precision. A skilled craftsman can produce up to 30 paving stones a day, with each costing around $16.
Using these paving stones is important because they beautify the city. We are proud because these stones come from Goma itself, from Nyiragongo volcano. They are our own stones. They make the environment more pleasant.
Behind every paved road is hard labor. In the quarries, many stone crushers spend long hours breaking massive volcanic rocks by hand, all to earn a living for their families.
This work is very difficult. Not everyone can do it, but people work here because they cannot stay idle. You have to work so life can continue and to avoid turning to crime.
Successive volcanic eruptions destroyed farmland that communities once depended on for food and income, and those living around Nyiragongo do not wish for another eruption.
We do not want another eruption because it destroys our fields and livelihoods. Yet, that's where we get our food from. It also affects our children. There are plenty of stones here from the past eruptions, and we do not want another, because it causes a lot of damage and destruction to our fields.
Over the last 3 years, Goma's feeder roads have seen a transformation, all from a natural hazard that is offering a sustainable solution. Caroline B., CGTN.
Sudan's National Theatre has reopened after suffering heavy damage during the civil war in the Khartoum region. Officials and artists say the restoration is not only about rebuilding a performance venue, but also reviving culture, identity and public life after a month of war.
The Sudan National Theatre in Omdurman has officially reopened following rehabilitation efforts aimed at restoring one of the country's most important cultural institutions. The reopening ceremony marked the first phase of rebuilding the theatre after months of war-related destruction. Authorities say the theatre's return is part of wider efforts to revive public life and restore cultural identity in Khartoum and surrounding areas. During the conflict, the National Theatre and nearby media institutions were heavily damaged while under the control of the Rapid Support Forces. Officials say the venue, once a symbol of Sudanese arts and culture, was turned into a military site.
The National Theatre suffered destruction, and it can be said that more than 80% of theatre buildings were completely destroyed. Despite the devastation, theatre practitioners continued working during the war, using art to support displaced communities and children affected by the conflict. Playwright and researcher Abdullah Mirghani says theatre remains central to Sudanese society.
Theatre is the lung we breathe with, and it shapes the consciousness of Sudanese society. For us, the return of theatre is a day of celebration.
The Ministry of Culture says restoring theatres and cultural institutions is essential to rebuilding society and preserving Sudan's heritage.
The systematic destruction was intended to erase identity, and Sudan is rich in its heritage, arts and culture. One of the most important social pillars is the theatre.
Community-led groups have joined government efforts to clean and restore the theatre, while calls continue for greater investment in Sudan's cultural sector. Observers say long-term recovery will require sustained funding, legislative reform and support for artistic programs aimed at reconnecting communities after years of conflict. Joy Kiruki Juma, CGTN.
Egypt is positioning itself as a key trade bridge between Europe and the Gulf as shipping instability in the Strait of Hormuz forces countries to look for alternative freight routes.
A cargo corridor linking Italy to Egypt is expanding deeper into Gulf and African markets. The roll-on, roll-off or row-row route was launched around 2024, connecting Italy's Trieste port with Egypt's Damietta port across the Mediterranean. It has since been extended beyond Egypt, with cargo moving through the Suez Canal or overland to Red Sea ports, before continuing to Gulf destinations, including the UAE, Kuwait, Oman, and Qatar. Amma Kataya of Zenith Enterprise for Marine Services says the route significantly cuts transport times.
It considerably reduces the shipping period between Europe and the Arabian Gulf because it takes only 36 hours for a vessel from the Suez Canal to Jeddah port in Saudi Arabia.
However, analysts say the corridor cannot fully replace the Strait of Hormuz, as repeated loading and unloading limits capacity. They add that while the route is still developing, pressure on global supply chains is driving interest in alternative links between Europe, the Gulf, and Africa.
Uganda's historic Kasubi tombs have reopened to the public 16 years after a devastating fire destroyed much of the sacred site. The restoration marks a major cultural milestone for the Buganda Kingdom and for Uganda's wider heritage.
16 years after a devastating fire destroyed Uganda's historic Kasubi tombs, the sacred cultural site has reopened to the public, marking a major moment of restoration and renewal. Overlooking the capital Kampala, the Kasubi tombs are among Uganda's most important cultural landmarks and a symbol of the Buganda Kingdom's royal heritage. Originally built in the 19th century as a royal palace, the site later became the burial ground for 4 Buganda kings. After years of reconstruction, visitors are once again returning to the restored grounds, reconnecting with a place deeply tied to Uganda's history and identity.
In the fire, we lost a lot, and among what we lost, we have even a lot of irreplaceable artifacts. Some of them we can never have them back. Things which displayed our heritage and culture, authority in the kingdom, daily tools and items. The beautiful lantern lamp Kabaka Mutesa received from Queen Victoria of England was one of the items we lost.
As visitors return, many say the experience is more than a journey through history. It is a step into traditions that are still alive today.
When you come inside, it feels like you release everything and you just calm down, and then you can sit, rest, mind your thoughts, and yeah, it's very relaxing and very peaceful.
Recognised as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Kasubi tombs are considered far more than a historic monument. For many Ugandans, they remain a living cultural space where spirituality, tradition and identity continue to coexist.
That's all we have today on Africa News. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to A News for continuing coverage.